Hey, what's up, Blazer fans? Welcome to We Have a Take the What podcast. I am Tara Bowen Biggs, joined as always by Rose Harding. Hello, Rose.
Hi, Tara. How are you doing this morning?
I am doing pretty good. There's somebody outside my window, like getting their car detailed. So hopefully that's not coming through over here because there's like a loud like vacuum or something going on. So you can't hear that, can you?
No, I can't. I was really hoping you were going to say there's somebody outside my window holding up a large boom box, but
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's funny.
playing
No.
Peter Gabriel.
No, unfortunately, no. Um, so how about those Portland Trailblazers coming off the second win of the year over I can't even say their name. They're just I can't. I just the joy that I have felt over watching the Blazers take down that team from the Bay Area, especially knowing that me parking my car near their facility is what led to all of my, messed up road trip. Thank you, Blazers, for getting them back for me.
As soon as we had won that game, I felt relieved. And then I thought to myself, if we could only win one game this whole week, that's the one I would want to win. Like, sure, the buzzer beater against the Bulls was a heartbreaker, but I can take all of those losses for the week knowing that we beat that team.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's look at the whole week. So since the last time we recorded on Sunday, they lost in Dallas in overtime. On Tuesday, they lost in Phoenix by 17, which was like, I think their second biggest loss. The other one, I think the Houston one was bigger, but that one was a big loss. And then on Wednesday, they lost to the Bulls, but this time by one. And then on Friday, they beat the Golden Warriors. And that was exactly the trajectory that we needed. And I have to say, I'm having so much fun this year, even though they don't have a winning record. Like seeing them progress over those games, considering every game they lose another player or two. They don't have any ball handlers. It's I'm having so much fun watching this team, with the exception, I will say, Tuesday night's game, that was our 8 o'clock game. We talked a little bit about it last week and all my preparations to stay awake for the 8 o'clock game. And that sucked as much as I thought it would. And then I had a super annoying Phoenix fan sitting behind me. And it was just like, it was
Ew.
almost unbearable. I almost left early. It was almost unbearable because it was like, he's a Phoenix fan. He's with other friends who are Blazer fans. So that usually gives people a little bit like, okay, I get it. And like the first quarter, it was like funny because he was clearly like joking around and having a good time and da 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 da. And but then it like he just didn't stop. And it was like all the way till the end of the game. And it's like, dude, like read the room. But also like, okay, we get it. We laughed along with you in the first quarter, but like then you drop it. That's so rude. It was so annoying.
Okay, can I just say, one, I'm shocked that there's somebody like that in Portland, that there's like this. I don't know. I just don't meet, you don't meet Phoenix Suns fans. Like, who's a Phoenix Suns fan? People go to so I know people in Phoenix who would maybe go to games just because it's something to do, but not because they're diehard Phoenix Suns fans. And the idea that there's a diehard Phoenix Suns fan here is like very goofy.
Yeah, and I it could have been either he was a diehard Phoenix Suns fan or he was just really really committed to the bit because I can relate to that being committed to a bit. But
Yeah.
this was like this like nobody else was getting the bit around him.
This was a bit for himself and nobody else.
Yeah, yeah. So that was not a particularly fun game. And then so turn around Wednesday night. It was one of those games like, do I really want to go after Tuesday night? Okay, no, we're gonna go. We said we were gonna go, and my husband had a friend coming with him, so we're like, okay, stick with the plan. We'll go to the game. And that game, despite the loss, that game was so fun. I loved that game. And one of the things that I realized is like when I'm in the arena watching the game, I am um taking in what's happening and processing it completely different than I think like 90% of other people. Like,
Hmm.
because I'm not, when you're listening to the broadcast, you kind of like get caught up in like whatever story they're telling. And then I always walk out of the game and then I go and I look at the broadcast or I look at the blue sky and I'm like, oh my God, is this the same game we were even watching? Like, I left that game elated because the team, like, they don't give up. And like no other team I can remember in a really, really, really long time for the Blazers, they're not out. Like they can be down 20 in the fourth. That is something that I've been like searching for is a team that they can be down 20 points in the fourth quarter. And you're like, that's okay, they can still come back. And this team completely depleted. They did. It was
Yeah.
so cool. And I was like, how did anybody not like that game? I loved that game.
And they were shorthanded.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they were like really shorthanded and to dig deep to come back. Like, okay, so you lost, but you came back and you made them have to work for it. You made that game come down to chance.
Hmm.
Which, like, it wasn't just like the other team was the better team the entire way or whatever. Like that team came down to chance because they dug deep and they were able to come back and make it a close game and make every shot count.
Yeah, they were in it and they were in it. And so one of the narratives that I've picked up on over the last few days, other Trailblazer podcasts that I've listened to and, broadcast is this story about how when the Blazers first started this season, they were like heavily pressing, press, 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 and their defense was like incredible, like off the charts. And then, they've stopped doing that. And they are like playing zone, 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 zone. But what I've noticed is in these games where they've had fourth quarter comebacks, it's because that's when they turned up the press and they've just turned up all the pressure in general during that time. Because, like, nobody can sustain that kind of pressing that they were doing at the
No.
beginning that was just like outrageous to assume that they were going to uh, sustain that in addition to the fact that they lost their players who do that. So,
Yeah.
but with whoever's left, they've run it enough, they've practiced it enough, they know it well enough that they can turn it on when they need to. And that is just like a thrilling development to me.
Yeah, I mean I knew it probably wasn't going to be sustainable anyway, but being shorthanded it's near impossible, right? Because before guys were playing like the guys who play that way were playing shorter shifts and they were like rotating those guys in and out more because they need to be like fresh to be able to do that and not also suffer on the offensive side of the ball. Um but like the idea that they can still turn it on even without guys like Blake Wesley, without guys like Matisse, like it's pretty great to know that that's still on the menu, even if it's a little more prescriptive than it was. Like the beginning, it was like completely indiscriminate. Like, you know, half the time it felt like we were like full court pressing, and now it's like far more prescriptive. And they're like, now is the time for us to create this tension, and then use it judiciously because you only have so many guys, you only have so much energy. And also like they were doing when they were doing it on the second night of the back to back shorthanded, I was like, dang, aren't you guys tired? You guys played at 8 p.m. the night before, and now you're playing at 7 p.m. the next day, and you can still pick up the full court press. Like, good for you.
I know. Well, and I like you were saying is that they're doing it judiciously and they're doing it they're conserving. I don't know. I just feels like when we were watching their other coach, who by the way is being arraigned tomorrow in New York City because he was arrested, um, their old coach, I don't know that I saw that I could like so easily see like what he was doing. Like to me, even
Hmm.
like somebody who doesn't understand coaching has not really ever played basketball, like only sees what I've like been watching with the Blazers. Even I can tell, like, oh, I see the pattern that he's got going on here. Oh, I see what he's doing. And it just kind of amazes me that I was like that I tried so hard to see it in the other coach. Nobody can say I didn't try. I sure tried. But it's just so much more obvious to what we're watching now in terms of like proactively coaching. Because like some people say the only thing that the coach, the only thing you can really hang on the coach is who plays when. Well, like
Hmm.
that is so apparent that Tiago Splitter is managing who plays when in a really smart way.
He's also like really direct. I think it was after the Bulls game, I like kind of took notes. Somebody asked him like, "Oh, what does this team need right now?" And he was like a point guard. Like, and it was like it was so direct. He didn't like try to like fluff it up or like make it media friendly. He was just like, "We need a point
Yeah.
guard," which is feels like I feel seen when he says that. You know what I mean? Because that's how I feel about this team. And I don't feel the fluffy explanation that a lot of coaches will give. And I'm sure that there are tons of people that appreciate that kind of a quote. But I also really appreciate, like me as a fan, appreciates this directness of this thing that you see that we need. Yeah, I also see that we need it. There's not much more to say beyond that.
Yeah, I do appreciate his interviews. I feel like I get a lot more and I learn a lot more. It's kind of like when you watch somebody else when you like see somebody else's broadcast, whether or not it's like a national broadcast or it's just somebody else's and you listen to their commentary and you're like, "Okay, whatever." And then you hear Lamar Hurd and you just go, "Oh my God, I learn so much from Lamar Hurd every game." It's kind of like that's the difference between like watching the former coach give an interview and then watching Tiago Splitter give an interview. It's like, oh my gosh, yeah, like you said, I feel seen and like I just learned something about what's happening. It's quite a difference.
It was in that the last game against that team from the Bay, where Lamar was talking about, oh, you have to challenge this, like, because he was explaining, what happened here and how, like, in this particular scenario, you might be able to get this call overturned. It needs to be challenged, and they didn't challenge it. And it was like, in a moment, I was like, wow, why didn't we challenge that? And I was like, I wouldn't think that though, unless Lamar had said it. And it's really interesting how Lamar can like share that with you, and you feel like you've learned something, and also you feel like it's so simple for the coaches, but then you remind yourself, no, no, it's not that simple for the coaches. And Lamar is a very well-studied analyst, and he knows exactly what's going on in a game. And I don't know that. I only know that because Lamar told me. And
Mhm.
that's where, like, why I feel a little incensed that we didn't challenge this particular call. But coaching staff obviously didn't know, thought differently. But I would be like, if I were Tiago, I would maybe like work out a signal where I looked at Lamar and Lamar could give me eyes and tell me
Oh,
whether I should challenge something because Lamar was very good at explaining why he believed that this could be a successful challenge.
yeah, that's funny. Yeah, because they were was that one where they were at home where he actually could have heard them? Or was that no, that was when they were away, so he wouldn't have been able to hear them anyway.
No, but you know what I mean? Like, because like the
Yes.
analysts get a lot of replays like
Hmm.
instantaneously because they're on the broadcast and they need to be able to comment on it. Like, I actually am really interested if there's any coach out there who like kind of visually checks in with their their on-air analyst about whether it's a challengeable thing because looking at like your bench like those guys are like obviously very good at what they do but they have a lot of other stuff that they're also doing and
Hmm.
they might not get the replay as fast as the telecast. So I was just curious because like you get that view probably quicker than anyone on the court and you also get it like in slow mo. You can do whatever you want to see it back really quickly compared to like what they do in the arena or the coaching staff can do on their little iPads.
That makes me think that I really want to talk to somebody and find out exactly what they can do because I believe that they do also have some kind of access, but I'm not sure what.
Mm.
So I wonder who could give us the information. Oh,
Because they're always like delaying and like trying to like see like what the replay looks
yeah.
like and whatever before they actually call a challenge.
Yeah, yeah. Completely random observation from inside the arena. By the way, I'm so excited for you to go see a game because
Yeah.
you haven't been to one yet this season, have you?
No, and I'm well enough now that I can go, but I didn't want to like buy tickets before I knew what my recovery was going to be
Uh-huh.
like, and I wanted to make sure that I felt like 100% and I could go.
Yeah. Well, I'm very excited for you to go to see what you think about some of the things that are going on. But one of the things that I noticed this season that has not been, well, obviously has not been present the last two seasons is I saw the Lillards in the stands. Oh,
Oh.
So great. And I could see Blake Wesley's mom and I like it's just like the families are there now. There's more families there than because I've the last couple years, I take binoculars to the game because I like to see what's going on in the arena. And the last couple years there just hasn't been very much family there. And this
Mm,
year it's clear that there's more family. It just feels like we are not they are not a temporary team anymore. It
mm.
feels like this is the team, you know. I don't know. That's I'm not sure if that's me. That makes sense.
I mean, we have guys that are like, like they're out here signed for years, for multiple years, and we have also a more diverse roster than we used to in terms of
Hmm.
age. So
Hmm.
guys that are like, I don't know, not just renting an apartment and every time they go to a new, city kind of a thing, but like guys who have roots, guys who have kids, guys who have, parents that follow them on the road or whatever. Like, I don't know. It reminds me of like more of like that team that we had when we had the Dame LaMarcus
Mm-hmm.
Batum rollout. Like that was like those are all guys that were here for a long period of
Yeah.
time and they could set their roots down and they could own a home and their pa parents could come in and pick games even like a year ahead of time and still know that their kid would be there.
Yeah. Oh, anyway, it feels good. And then just nothing could be better on Friday. It was actually a rare 4 point game on Friday, according to my point system, which is you get a point for a win, you get a point if it's not raining, you get a point if you don't have to work the next day. And then I gave it an extra point because it was a cup win.
Hey, cup win. Top of Group C, I believe we are right now. I think Group
Yeah,
C. I don't actually know, but we're like I think
the
people
group of
called us
death.
the group of death, which is like a World Cup term. Usually, there's one group that's always like super strong, and you have no idea who's going to come out of it.
Hmm.
Um, and we're like sitting atop Denver, I guess, because we beat Denver head to head, even though Denver and us have the same record of 2-1.
Hmm.
But we're like minus 18 in point
Yeah.
differential because we win small and lose big.
Yeah. I don't care. Okay, so I want to talk about a couple of players before we move on to the meat
Mm.
of the episode. I want to talk about Donovan Clingan because it's been a real roller coaster for me with Donovan Clingan because you know how at the beginning of the year I've been like, this is going to be a big year for Donovan. And then I sit there night after night after night and see him get 9,000 offensive rebounds because he can't just corral it and put it in. And
Yeah.
we talked about, oh, his hands are getting better. Oh no, his hands are not getting, and it's just been such a ride. But the thing I've always loved about him is how he's a winner. He plays like a winner. He gets mad when he should be playing better, and then he goes out and he plays better. And like he's so demonstrative about all that. Yeah, it was a real ride for us this week, but it ended up on a high note, for sure. And when he fell down and it looked like he got injured and he got up and he
Oh
was
my
like
God.
slamming the chair, and I was like, yes, Donovan, channel that, channel that. And I can't emphasize enough how much I've missed what it's like to have a player on the team who is like will win, will do anything to win. And they're all winners. I'm not saying that they're not all winners, but just Donovan has something in his DNA, I think, that is just so fun to watch take over. And it's been a while since, you know, I guess maybe Damian Lillard when he would, put the team on his back and win it. But the way that Donovan just gets everybody riled, I just love watching it, and I'm so glad that he's continuing on that trajectory.
He has been really fun for me to watch this season because he looks like a completely different player in lots of ways. Like quite frankly, physically he looks like a different guy. He also plays a little bit different than he did last season. His hands got softer. He does get a lot of offensive boards now, but he doesn't get a lot of like putbacks. Um, but the one thing that I noticed about him is that like he does whatever is asked of him. Like in that win against Golden State, like I don't think he played a single minute uh in the fourth quarter. But he did exactly what he was asked to do in the first three, and he had a career high in points, which by the way, I was like, oh, good for you, you're scoring.
I know. Him scoring is excellent. We
Yes.
need that. We need that. Yeah. And he's starting to score more on dunks.
Yes. The Denny, the Denny Donovan lob connection is there now. Like
Hmm.
I think that they were still kind of figuring out like where like the timing and where Donovan likes it and all of that stuff like that. But like that lob connection is it looks really strong now. Not everyone has it with him yet, but I think that like as we figure out we settle into our more like regular ball handlers, we might see more of that like lob connection because they've clearly worked on it and they have good chemistry and he Denny is good at getting it in a spot where Donovan can reach it and nobody else can, and he can put it back quite easily. Um, but I wanted to say about Donovan's offensive rebounds. I've like last year I could have like cried asking for more Donovan offensive rebounds because I felt like he touched the ball first so much, but then didn't get the rebound. And now he's get so many, and I'm like, oh, our shooting percentage keeps going down because we can't actually put it in the hoop when you get those extra possessions for us. So it's like a double-edged sword, I guess. It's like I used to wish for offensive rebounds, and now I'm like, can you just put it back? Just put it back.
Yeah.
Can we turn those re offensive rebounds into points? Points off
Yeah.
offensive rebounds?
Yeah, if we could just turn those offensive rebounds into points. Yeah. The on the Tuesday night game against Phoenix, I was with a friend of the pod, Bruce, came with me. Bruce Poinsett, who's been on the pod before, and like we were just both like had our head in our hands, just going, "Oh my God," so many times. And then we'd look up and we'd be like, he has 12 rebounds. Like we were just like what it felt like versus like what the actual stats were so different. I came home and I was just like it was such a painful Donovan game for me.
Mm.
But it wasn't like a terrible game. He had 9 and 12, 2 assists and 5 blocks. Like that's not a bad game at all. It just felt like it, but something clicked with the Bulls game, and that was when he started scoring a lot. That's when he had 17 points and 21 rebounds. I did not look to see how many of them were offensive, but he also had 4 assists. And I like that a few other guys are like here and there stepping up and being able to distribute the ball a little bit. Um, yeah, just good stuff.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of watching what Donovan does this year. I think that he's becoming a really interesting player, even like week to week, month to month,
Yeah.
like just looking totally different. And you're right about his intensity. Like I can see his intensity, although I can see it in other guys too. But one of the things about Donovan is I think that he has like harnessed his intensity to in a way that like allows him to play less risky basketball. Whereas, like, when I look at Denny and Tumani, both of those guys, they play high risk basketball and they're highly competitive. And sometimes those risks pan out for them, and sometimes they absolutely do not. And it looks really bad, right? Like, if, like, Tumani picking up a detrimental foul in the last 3 minutes of the game that he shouldn't have gone for a steal or whatever, like, that stuff happens with him. Denny turning the ball over on a wicked pass to, like, nobody is like that kind of stuff like those guys are capable of doing and they are really intense and competitive, but they play higher risk than Donovan does. And Donovan, I noticed the other night he made like crunch time free throws and I was like, good for you, big guy. Crunch time free throws. Those are really hard sometimes.
I
Um,
love that observation. Yeah, that really does kind of like help me like refine like what it is that I'm really enjoying about watching him because it does the game, the more intense he gets, the more the game slows down for him almost. And like I used to say about like Yusuf Nurkic, I always thought that he played better when he had 4 or 5 fouls because he had to
mhm.
be more careful. And that's not the same for true for Donovan because he's doing a really good job of not even fouling. But as he gets more intense, it almost is like the game does slow down for him.
Yeah, and there were times last season where we saw him pick up like some quick fouls and have to sit, and miss like
A shift.
a shift. And but then he would come back and play better when he was able to come back in the game. Like he was good at making those in-game adjustments. And now
Hmm.
we've seen that like evolve even further where he's like not even fouling to begin with because he's learned what he needs to do in order to not get whistled for fouls.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm super excited about the future of the Blazers if they're going to have like a better than like middle of the pack center. Like if they're going to have like one, I would, if they're going to have one of the best centers and whether or not it's also going to be Young Hansen, I don't know. Maybe they have two great centers. I don't know. But like right now, watching the speed with which Donovan learns and gets better, I'm I think that's really great for the future of the team, especially if they're, some of the best players right now are the centers, even if they might play more, positionless. But like you got Jokic, you got Wemby, and I'm not saying that Donovan is going to be Jokic or Wemby, but if he's an outstanding defender of centers, that's really going to help the team a lot.
Yeah, also like some of the great teams out there right now have multiple good centers. Like I'm thinking about OKC, like, they play multiple bigs and like the fact that they bring Isaiah Hartenstein off the bench is like, I mean, what a privilege.
Yeah.
So like if Portland can develop two big guys who have like different games, like imagine how many looks we can throw out there
Yeah.
eventually.
Oh, and we've talked about, centers. We haven't even mentioned really Robert Williams, who I thought was magnificent
Yes.
in that game against the team from the Bay Area. He was magnificent. That's all I can say. Like that's the description that I have because it was just like, first of all, like we got like 20 minutes,
Hmm.
which was fantastic, and he like I remember when we were getting to know about him and we learned about the name Time Lord coming from him being able to time things so well, and it's uncanny to watch exactly how he knows exactly when and where to go up and snatch the ball away from others. Oh, love it.
He's either really good at quantum physics or like uh geometry.
Yeah.
Because he's also really good at knowing exactly where the ball is going to be. Similar to actually Josh Hart, actually. Like he knows where the ball is
Yeah.
going to be when it comes off the rim. And I don't know how he knows that. Some guys just have like a really strong sense of physics, geometry, something, and they just know exactly where to be. Because sometimes he's in a place where I'm like, well, why are you standing there? Oh, because the ball's going to go there.
Yeah, I think you're right.
It's just like he's really fun and also like I'm like don't get too excited because he like the basketball gods might take him away from us, but like I'm allowing myself to get a little excited at this point because
Yeah.
he's phenomenal and brings a lot of energy and is again totally different from Donovan, totally different from Hansen, totally different from WAP. Like I don't know if I've ever been this happy with our like
Center
our like array
rotation.
of yeah our array of bigs.
Have we ever had an actual rotation? Have they ever
Uh
had?
I mean, there was a time where we had Yusuf Nurkic and then Enes Kanter.
Ugh.
Ugh.
Yeah, there sure was.
Yeah.
Any other
Uh,
players you want to talk about this week?
yeah. So one of so two guys came to mind for me this week. One is I think that we're seeing kind of the limits of Denny's ball handling right now during this tough stretch without any point guards. Um, I was like realizing how important it is for us to have Denny's ball handling look in our bag, but it can't be the whole bag, right? Because like the team knows exactly what our best look is because there isn't a second best look of with like the available personnel, and it makes it a lot harder for him to like to do that. He can't just like run into the paint every single time. He's not getting whistle. He wasn't getting whistles there. Like some of these games, I felt like it was in the Twilight Zone because I'm like, he got fouled like three times and they didn't blow a whistle, and he also didn't score. And so after a while, you just stop relying on that as being like a good play to make. But there wasn't very many options. Like he was turning the ball over. Some of his outlet passes were like not great. I think that also like with some of the new guys, like with City and Caleb, like a lot of those guys like don't have the same chemistry where like he knows exactly where to pass the ball without having to look there because he knows someone's going to be there. Well, maybe they don't know to be there. Like it's just not it's just not what I want for us long term. I liked what it looked like last year because we were still trying to figure out how to make any look good. This time I'm like we need to have this in our bag, but it has to be like the second or third club in our bag and we need like an actual point guard because when it comes to these close games, like I was saying before about how Tumani and Denny play like high risk basketball. High risk basketball does not always pay off in close games. And that's why having somebody like Drew who can help manage that game, like that aspect of the game, that close game, and like minimize the variance there is incredibly important. And like we didn't have those guys like in some of these games that we lost this week. Like without Drew, who's going to be doing that? It was like I saw them trying to like a little bit run that through Jeremy. I saw them trying to like run that through Denny a little bit with Tumani, a little bit with City, and like I was just like, none of this quite works the same way because these guys are explosive, dynamic, but high risk basketball players in the way that they try to win. And that's just like not the chance that I want to leave it up to in the very last like 3 minutes of a close game.
Yes, and it does bode well for the future, though. Like, I like
Mm.
what you're saying about how kind of finding what the limits of Denny's ball handling ability is, because we've seen he can get 12 assists in a game. We don't want him
He
to
got him
have
this
to.
week. He got four, I think he got 13 or 14 this week.
Yeah, yeah. So we've seen it. It can happen when it needs to, but also he's good enough that guys like CD and Caleb were able to come in at least like the last game and play well enough. So, to take so that Denny could be more of his just like explosive all over the place self rather than having
Hmm.
to like run an offense and be explosive all over the place self, his place self. And I just, with this year, like I mean, wins and losses, of course, do matter, especially for cup games, but they don't matter when we're like, remember, like the last couple of years, we're like, we're gonna get all kinds of data, and like, what data did we get? Like, oh, I see what we mean by data is rolling in.
Mm. Yeah, I think it's important that he definitely handles the ball on this team quite a bit, but I don't think it's good for us if he's the only one who can do it because then the defense doesn't have to make as many hard decisions.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean,
and his turnover, I just want to, the quality of his turnovers is like not talking about like the numbers or whatever. They feel bad because sometimes they're passes to nobody, sometimes they're passes that get tipped, sometimes and it's passing turnovers feel so much worse, right? And I remember like we could see games where Dame would have like 10, 12 turnovers, but they would be like where he got double teamed in a corner or something and lost the ball. And those don't, I mean, they feel bad too, don't get me wrong, but like they don't feel as bad or as careless as a pass that didn't work out.
mhm.
And that's always the thing that like I think about with like this team developing is like I need to have patience for that because those won't always be passes that get picked. Those
Mhm.
won't always like passes that get picked is a little bit about the passer, but it's also about what the rest of the team is doing and what they can expect the other guys to be doing um, without them looking at them. Just with like the comfort of knowing a guy's going to be here, here, and here, and these are my outlet passes when I do this thing. And our team is still figuring that out.
Yeah, Denny's taking years off my life as long as he's the primary ball handler and will continue to.
Can I say I saw a possession the other night where it was like a bunch of guys all trying to control tip to each other, but nobody reining in the rebound. And I was like, this is so Portland.
I I will say Donovan is getting better at that. I think he's getting better at knowing that if he can't get two hands on it to corral it, being more aware where his team is. I'm
Mm.
very excited about that.
I saw Donovan try to control tip it, and then I think Chris tried to control tip it. Like Donovan control tip it to Chris, Chris tried to control tip it to somebody else, and I was like, "Who's gonna pick up this ball?" And then I think the other team got it, and I was like, "Never mind, not us." The other player I want to talk about is City Sissoko.
I
City
love him.
Sissoko has been balling. I can't believe how good he looks for a guy who's on like he's a two-way guy, right?
Hmm.
Like like he plays tough defense. He plays the style of basketball I feel like we want to be playing. And I had this aha moment the other day where I was like, City reminds me of what Neil Olshey sold Evan Turner to us as. That is the kind of player that I feel like he is. Like he's not exactly Evan Turner, but like a guy who can do a little bit of everything, a little bit of ball handling, a little bit of shooting, a little bit of like like cutting and paint work and stuff like that and decent on defense. That's what I thought that Evan Turner was supposed to be based on what Neil Olshey told us when after he signed him.
Hmm.
And I just can't believe that but we have an Evan Turner light kind of guy, but he's also a two-way guy and not somebody who we paid like $80 million to do it.
Yeah, I tell you what he does have in my eyes in common with Evan Turner, is a behind that can move guys out of the way, and I love that in a defender.
Yeah, I posted about that the other day because I was like,
Oh, did you?
he's really using like the ET backside.
Yes.
Remember how ET used to clear out space
Yes.
with his butt?
Yes, and I love that CD can do that. I love that and yeah, CD is like when he was playing, playing aggressive defense, he'll pick up a guy, full court. And I was like, it's so nice to like have players who are coming off the bench who are not part of the regular rotation, like understanding this is who we are and coming in and doing that. I'm like, oh, I love this.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. So yeah, anyway, I'm excited for the CD Sissoko experience and just sort of in general when I've been watching like the two-way guys are looking really great. Like, next man up, wait when your number's called, you got to be ready. Like these guys have done it. And there's this other part of me in the back of my head, a little quiet voice that goes, "This doesn't feel good for Ryan Rupert." Because we've definitely seen games now where like Ryan is playing garbage minutes and CD and Caleb are playing meaningful minutes, like to
Hmm.
contribute to winning. And I don't know. I hope that Roops gets an opportunity and is ready for it because, he has, we have to decide what to do with him this offseason.
Yeah. He might still be younger than those guys. He's
I know
so,
he's a
yeah,
babe.
I forget how young, he is. But a couple of times when Ryan has played, I haven't even noticed that he's playing, which is like a good thing, I think. I'm like,
You aren't
oh,
just like, oh,
that
Euro
was Ryan
step.
Repair. Cool. Yeah. Next time we record, remind me to talk about Chris Murray because I don't know really what to say except for that I know like a million times a game I'm like, good job, Chris Murray. Way to go, Chris Murray.
We had a game the other day where it was like Donovan and Chris were both playing really well. I was like, it's the Golden Retriever dads. Love Chris Murray. He's looking so solid this year.
Yeah, yeah. It just needs to put it, like be a little bit more consistent in scoring because everything else that he does is like exactly what you want out of like a really solid role player, and I love it. Um, okay. Are you ready to move on?
Yes, I am.
All right. So last week we were starting to talk about what about so and so? What about so and so? Oh, what's so and so? Where'd so and so go? And so we thought that we should do an episode where we talk about where are the Blazer Cuties in the league. And first of all, before we dive into it, I'll say what my definition of a Blazer Cutie is. It has nothing to do with how they look. And it has everything to do with whether while they were here, if they touched my heart in any way. If I was like, "Oh," if I was ever like, "Oh," and not like, "Okay, I'm gonna make myself like this guy because he's a Blazer and I'm obligated to." Spoiler alert, 95% of them, people who've passed through the Blazers, with very few exceptions, are Blazer Cuties. So yeah, so what I'm talking about when we're talking about what are Blazer Cuties doing today is like where are somebody who was once a Blazer who passed through the Blazer organization, where are they playing today, whether or not it's in the league or out of the league. That's my definition. What's your definition of a Blazer Cutie?
I think that I can get in line with your definition of the Blazer cutie. For the most part, most former Blazers are Blazer cuties to me. If there was a way that I was able to remember something likable about them. You know what I mean? Like so it could have been they had like a one great game here even. It could be just because they were really good energy or vibes guys. Like it doesn't have to be necessarily in the game. The ones that I feel like I could connect with as a player and as a person, I felt I mean, not really, obviously not like connect because I don't know any of these people, but like that like something that I could really appreciate about who they were as people or players is usually my definition of a Blazer cutie. Because sometimes every now and then there's a guy where I'm like, I have to put forth a lot of effort to like you, and that effort kind of sours me on your Blazer cutie status. And if I have to put too much effort into it to try to find ways to like you, then maybe it's not meant to be. But just because it's not my Blazer cutie doesn't mean he can't be your Blazer cutie. So if you think that Tara and I miss anybody in our review of the NBA and where guys are, and you're like, what about so and so? They're a Blazer cutie to me, let us know.
Yeah.
We don't all have to have the same Blazer cuties.
Yeah, and also some guys that we don't consider Blazer cuties may catch some strays this episode. Just saying.
Yeah, oops. You know what? We try our very best to be nice, but we can't always be. We're human too. Tell me about like the most surprising Blazer cutie that you found. So, spoiler alert, Tara and I split up the NBA. I reviewed the East, the guys that are in the East. Tara reviews the guys in the West.
Yeah, and then we both went on our own special journeys into the G League and international, going, oh, what about so and so? Oh, what about so and so? But speaking first about guys who are still playing in the league, I mean, I knew this going into it, but the Clippers have three Blazer cuties. They have Chris Dunn, Nicholas Batum, and Derek Jones Jr.
And they've
Um,
had others too in
and
the
they've had
past.
way more in the past. There's like kind of like a pipeline for Blazer Cuties to the Clippers. And I think it's Nicholas Batum's last season. I had my Nicholas Batum jersey that I was going to wear when I was going to go to the Clipper game, but I just Nicholas Batum and Derek Jones Jr. are special favorites of mine. Chris Dunn was here during a time I think when they would have like trades where all of a sudden there's like 10 new players that we had to like get to know and he was like part of that time of
Yeah.
the Blazers. So um there's nothing particularly memorable to him about him to me, but who doesn't have fond memories of Nicholas Batum and who also is just is like rooting for a kid who came in and was so raw. Always Ryan Repair. Every time Ryan Repair, I'm gonna think of something about Ryan Repair that I'm like, I'm not really that fond about this. I'll remember Nicholas Batum and how young he was when he first started and how he had to learn everything. And of course, I just Derek Jones Jr. He was so not used correctly when he was here in Portland,
No.
and that just absolutely broke my heart. And I wish we could have that back. But I'm glad
Airplane
that he's
mode.
doing good.
Airplane mode. We didn't use his airplane mode for some reason. We like decided he was going to be like a guy who camped in the corner to
And
shoot threes instead of a guy who was cutting to the hoop.
yeah,
Why?
yeah, yeah, very sad. What about your notable guys in the East?
Notable guys in these. So I'll say in terms of like sheer numbers, the Hornets have quite a few Blazer Cuties. Mason Plumlee is a Hornet, and so is Pat Connaughton. And as you said earlier on a previous episode, that Pat Connaughton really had to win his spot there after he arrived there, I think, via trade from Milwaukee. And the Hornets were like, "Oh, we're probably going to cut you. It's fine if you don't show up." And he's like, "No, I'm going to show up for training camp and compete." And turns out he won himself a spot. He proved his value and good for him. He's an NBA champion. Like, he was with that Bucks team when they won. And I'm just really happy for him because he also gave up another professional sport to do this. Like, he could have
That's
been
right.
in Major League Baseball.
He could go back to playing baseball if he wants to.
Yeah, that's right. Um, Nurkic was there previously last season. And then also, uh, remix legend Ibu Baji is on the Greensboro Swarm on the G League team there. So that's fun.
Yeah, a lot of cross pollination there. Get it? I mean, okay, so to talk about somebody else, of course, DeAndre Ayton, we know is a LA Laker, and I don't even want to like get into finding out what the people in LA think about him. I will just cherish the time that we had. I think it was a good reset for him. I think him playing for a team that at the time had no expectations was probably good for him. I think some people thought that him being here wasn't necessarily the best thing, but I enjoyed his earnestness, his I don't know. I don't know. I'm tired of having to justify the fact that I enjoyed DeAndre Ayton and I thought that he was a fun person on the Blazers. So that's all I'll say. But he's now a Laker.
I liked him as a Blazer. I thought he was fun playing when he was playing. I thought he was a fun player, and I thought he was a good vibes guy, and I thought he was really patient for the circumstances that we were in, going from like, he like he played with Phoenix and they got really deep in the playoffs together, and then he came here and they were rebuilding, and I don't know. I have no complaints about the DeAndre Ayton era. The only complaint that I have about his Laker era is that I don't like what he's done with his hair. I think that he either needs to bleach it more or not bleach it at all. Now it's just kind of dark brown orange, and it looks like when all the girls at my middle school decided to put sun in their hair and it just tinted it like
Mhm.
copper.
Yeah.
That's all. That's the only thing I don't like about the DeAndre Ayton era of the Lakers. And beyond that, I'm like, good for him. You're playing uh some minutes and part of the rotation, and good for you.
A couple other centers who are playing still in the league is, of course, you mentioned him. Yusuf Nurkic is the Jazz. I don't know if anyone is ever going to appreciate Yusuf Nurkic like we did. I just don't think it's possible because he doesn't have Damian Lillard with him. And I still, I don't think anyone's going to get the Yusuf Nurkic experience that we had.
Did you see when we played the Jazz, how like that like video that ended up on socials of like Dame and Nurk sitting together, like pregame, and like they were like holding hands.
There was also one of Dame consoling Denny after that loss the other night where they were holding hands. Like that's so
Yes.
cute.
It is to me it is very Dame to lead in this like kind of quiet one-on-one way
Hmm.
where he doesn't like yell and call out like the whole team or whatever, but like you know, a lot like especially like for a guy like Denny who like right now is I think one of the leaders of this team, especially among the guys who are able to play. Like it probably costs a lot to lose some of those heartbreakers, and somebody like Dame is such a great guy to coach somebody through that and to help them work through those feelings and also figure out what to do with them to like not make those mistakes in the future.
Hmm. And
But
it's
it's
such a like
quiet.
it's such a grandma thing to do to just like grab your hand
Hmm.
like when you're upset
And
or
they
when
weren't
they're
even looking
happy
at
to
each
see
other.
you. Yeah.
They were like looking ahead, not looking at each other, and they just reached out and like held hands for a second and then moved along their way. And I was like, this is very sweet.
The Shack of Troutdale, Drew Eubanks, is also another former Blazer center. He is in Sacramento, still carving out a space for himself.
So you, as you know, we have friends of our podcast who are Kings fans. And I will say the things that I see about Eubanks are not kind. I don't think that he is well loved in Sacramento, but I don't think that Sacramento loves their team right now. I think that it is it's a hard place for them to be in to be rebuilding again after experiencing a very brief stint of success. So like it's probably not all about Drew. It's also about the frustration with the ongoing reconstruction of this team around, I guess, Domas. I don't even know.
No, there was just something like Jake Fisher just said that the Jazz are not like actively trying to trade, but that they're basically willing to trade anybody but Keegan and then I think either
Oh,
their
The
rookie.
Kings. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Oh yeah, the
You
Kings.
said the Jazz. Yeah.
Yeah, I meant the Kings. Yeah, the basically it's they're willing to trade anybody except for Keegan Murray, which I was like kind of surprised about. And then another player who I think is either a rookie or like maybe a first year player who came on strong last season. But I was like, oh, okay.
I think Keegan just signed an extension this offseason, and sometimes
Yeah.
those guys are not tradable in their first year.
Yeah.
Um, but also Keegan is like younger, I guess. So if like they're trying to build more toward like the Blazers were doing a couple of years ago, build more of a youth movement, Keegan probably can still fit with the youth movement, whereas Domas is like more like mid like career.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, they also are missing a ball handler.
They have
Uh,
Russell Westbrook.
yeah, that's right. They have Russell Westbrook. But like, like they had Davion Mitchell and they traded him and now look at him. He's doing well in Miami and for a while I think they traded Davion because they had De'Aaron Fox, and then De'Aaron Fox asked to be traded, and now they have
Hmm.
nobody.
Yeah.
Not nobody. Malik Monk, I think, also ball handles for them a little bit, but he's a better shooting guard than he is a point guard.
Who else you got
Uh,
on your list?
so in let me see. Oh, well, we've talked about the 76ers, how Trendon Watford's doing Blazer Cutie things by getting his first career triple-double with the 76ers. And Jabari Walker is on a two-way there, which I still is completely incomprehensible to me because I think he's good enough to be on a full NBA contract.
He's been playing
Um,
though, hasn't he?
I believe so. He's definitely been dressing. I haven't like been monitoring his minutes, but I've seen him like, in the games.
Hmm.
Um, the other one I was going to mention that I forgot about is that Larry Nance Jr. is back on the Cavs.
Oh my God, I completely forgot about it.
I think the only reason why people remember Larry Nance Jr. being on this team is simply because there are future like implications of that trade that are still like, that involved picks that we still like are care about. But that's the only time I see Larry Nance's name come up is when people are talking about future pick acquired through the Larry Nance Jr. trade.
Hmm. He's one where I'm kind of on the fence about Blazer cutiness. Like, no, he did some good stuff, I guess. I mean, I don't dislike Larry Nance at all. He just didn't like touch my heart quite as much as some of the other players did. But he was cool. He did all that during the pandemic. He was really supportive of small businesses when he was on Cleveland.
Hmm.
Um, he also plays with Crohn's celiac disease, which I think is amazing.
Oh my God.
And he does a lot with that community for helping people learn how to live and adjust with that.
Didn't he win the dunk contest one year? I don't remember if he won. I thought he won the dunk contest at least one year. But he's part of the long history of Blazers who have won the dunk contest. And by long history, I mean like what, like
Yeah.
three?
You know that how I feel about the dunk contest.
Yeah,
It
I sure
it
do.
it could end today and I would be fine. Jabari Walker has played 15 games.
Good for him. Jabari's good, man. I love Jabari. And if we could have him on this team and it was like a good fit, I would totally want him.
Yeah, like when are they going to convert him?
I don't know.
And he's has he started? There's like a little asterisk in the basketball reference log for games started instead of saying yes or no. There's like a little asterisk. So I think it means that he's started some games as well.
That's shocking.
Good for
Although,
you,
aren't they
Jabari.
pretty beat up? Aren't the Sixers kind of beat up?
Yeah. But they have, Tyrese Maxey, who's just on a tear.
Tyrese Maxey's wild.
Yeah.
And they also have that new guy. They have a rook. They drafted a rookie who's like really good. I can't get his name in my head right now, but I think you know who I'm talking about, maybe?
This year or last
Something
year?
Edgecombe. Edgecombe.
Oh, VJ
Edgecombe, right?
Edgecombe. Yeah.
BJ. I want to call him CJ. I'm like, I know you're not a CJ.
Um, okay, here's
Oh, speaking
somebody.
of CJ, can I say, speaking of CJ, CJ McCollum
Yes.
is on the Washington Wizards, being kind of like a vet leader there. Scal Labissiere is on their G League team, sweet baby Scal.
Hmm.
And another interesting find is that Shabazz Napier is a coaching apprentice for the Wizards right now under Coach O'Keefe.
That's really cool. I also didn't come across anybody else that I knew of who was doing any sort of coaching. There's a few guys that I found that were totally out of the league, but I haven't found anybody who is like on purpose going through the coaching stuff. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, this is his first season doing it. I think he was playing internationally in a couple different countries around the world, and then this year he came back to be a coaching apprentice, which I think is a cool opportunity. And we might get to see more Shabazz in the future
Hmm.
because Shabazz is the man.
Did you CJ just did a post on Instagram and his son looks exactly like him. It was he had a couple smiles where I was like, "Oh my gosh, that kid is like mini CJ." It was so cute.
Does he also have a tiny mustache?
He might as well. Okay, here's somebody who I'm wondering is a Blazer cutie. Probably isn't, but is at least was noteworthy for his non-time in Portland, and that is Joe Ingles. Remember when we got Joe Ingles and we were so excited that Joe Ingles was coming to Portland, and we were like, you like, sweet, we're gonna have his veteran leadership, because at the time, like, his veteran leadership would have been really great to have around, but he was like, no, I'm not gonna play. I'm just gonna rehab and see ya. So we basically paid for him to rehab, and
Yeah,
then
and
he
have a little
lost.
bit of like banter on Twitter with Josh Hart.
Yeah.
He is not a Blazer cutie to me. Definitively not a Blazer cutie. I'm not on Joe Ingles. Joe Ingles is, I don't even consider him a Blazer. I consider him a pass through. And here is why. Besides the fact that he never actually put on a jersey here or played here, he also took that last spot on the Australian Olympic team that meant that Matisse got cut. And Matisse,
Oh,
one Matisse is a Blazer cutie. And you
yes.
do not have Blazer cutie on Blazer cutie crime. So therefore, he is not a Blazer cutie. He only committed crimes against a Blazer cutie.
I will happily subscribe to that. Joe Ingles, not a Blazer cutie. If you're listening, not a Blazer cutie.
Lovely person, I'm sure, but you didn't play here. And Matisse, certified Blazer cutie.
Hmm. The only other person in the West that I found who's currently playing, who at one time wore a Blazer jersey, was Jamari Bouye, is in Phoenix.
Oh, is he in Phoenix? Is he on the G League team or is he
No,
on
he's
like
on the
Phoenix Phoenix?
team, I believe.
Oh,
Because I have a whole
okay.
separate list. I have a whole separate list of 24 more Blazer cuties who are either playing in the G League or the or international.
Overseas.
And I was making this list. It reminded me of the TikTok that you sent me of Kenyon Martin going through his list of power forwards who are better than Draymond Green,
You
which
guys,
was
if you haven't
so
looked up
funny.
this video, you need to look this up. It's so funny. He's Kenyon Martin has a notebook that he pulls out and is listing off basketball players that are better than Draymond Green and specifically power forwards. And he's down there and like Nene and all these other random guys, and he's like all better than Draymond Green.
And I just love the idea of him carrying around this notebook for like whatever reason. Then he's got a page that's specifically devoted to players better than Draymond Green.
Yeah.
Ooh, I hadn't thought of him. Let me add him. So that's how I felt when that's how I felt as I was making my long list of Blazer cuties.
Yeah. It's really, really funny.
What other Blazer cuties who are currently in the league do you have on? I know there's one very. Did we already talk about Ant?
No, so Ant is on the Celtics, obviously. I didn't like, I think Ant is a Blazer cutie. I don't think that we need to talk about him a lot because, like, when I think about like updates on Blazer cuties, it's like Blazer cuties and people don't know what happened to them. Everybody knows what happens to Ant. Everybody knows there's a ton of media coverage of him in Boston. It was a high profile trade, but obviously, I think Ant Blazer cutie.
Hmm. Yeah,
Josh
I
Hart
have.
with the Knicks, another thing, another guy where I'm like, do I need to mention that Blazer cutie Josh Hart is with the Knicks? No, we've covered the BFF gang like extensively.
Is there anybody else who's currently playing?
Uh, so I mentioned Gary Trent Jr. in with the Bucks. Is Nikhil and Alexander Walker a Blazer cutie? Because he's on the Hawks now, and he did pass through here.
Yeah, I mean, he was a pass through, and he's like a pass through that like I was all set to like learn all about Nikhil Alexander Walker and learn all about his life, and I was like starting to do the research by the time he'd already not played for the Blazers and moved on. So I don't know. He's almost a Blazer cutie. Like he's more of a
He's
Blazer
not
cutie
he's
than
not
like.
not a Blazer cutie.
Yeah, because like he's more of a Blazer cutie than someone whose name I haven't even mentioned, who is definitely still playing in the league on a Western Conference team and gets all of my rage every time I have any. And that is somebody whose name I will not even say because he's on a team whose name I won't even say. And this guy is so not a Blazer cutie that I was screaming all Friday night about like all of the things that I was like hoping would befall him. Okay, so speaking of the team from the Bay Area, I think one of the things that contributed to the Blazers' win was their hubris. Because I think that they didn't even look at the scouting report. They were like, "Pfft, It's Portland. We're going to be so mad about the last time we lost to them that we're just going to come out and we're just going to like take care of it. And they did not. In case
It's true.
anybody from the Bay Area is listening and has forgotten. I think hubris contributed to that Blazer victory. What was I talking
Yeah.
about? Nikhil Alexander Walker. More of a Blazer cutie than the other Gary, who we shall not mention.
Uh, yeah, that's right. No notes, no notes. Not a That guy's not a Blazer cutie. Nikhil Alexander Walker, you can be a Blazer cutie. Um, Another person that I will say, I don't know. So, okay, here's a question. Is Zach Collins a Blazer cutie?
I think so. Like he wasn't ever like my favorite. I was never like a giant Zach Collins fan, but I believe he was nominated for some what awards? I think he was nominated for fashion and bench,
Bench
definitely bench
celebrator.
celebrator. He was a good bench celebrator.
He was. I think he's a Blazer
Yes.
cutie.
I think he's the Blazer cutie.
Okay, good. Zach Collins, Blazer cutie. He's a bull now. He was celebrating that Vooch like buzzer beater winner against us, and that kind of hurt my feelings. So like part of me was like maybe like my question about whether he's a Blazer cutie was colored by that. Also, he has like this slicked back hair look now that like makes him look like a bully in the like a high school bully in the 90s, and that like kind of bothers me. But again, Blazer cutie is not about how you look. And I know he cares a lot about his hair, and if that's what makes him happy, like good for you, buddy. But maybe tone it down when you celebrate that buzzer beater in Portland against us. Kevin
Yeah.
Knox is on the Windy City Bulls.
Oh, sweet, my BFF Kevin.
I know.
Yeah.
I hope that he finds his way back at some point because I think that he could be very interesting. And like those pandemic guys just were really their development was stunted because of the lack of basketball that happened that year.
Mhm. Yeah, see, you were smart and you matched up the guys who were playing in the G League with the non-G League NBA team that they're
Yeah.
affiliated with. I just have a list of guys that are currently playing in the G League, some of whom you've already mentioned, but here's my list. Moses Brown with the Grand Rapids Gold,
Hmm.
Justin Minaya with I think you said with the Osceola. How do you say that?
Osceola.
The Osceola Magic, Ibubaji with the Greensboro Swarm, Kevin Knox with the Windy City Bulls, Scalavizier with the Capital City Go-Go, Ashton Higgins is still with the Rip City Remix, Delano Banton is with the Texas Legends,
Hmm.
um, John Butler Jr. I actually remembered him without prompting. He's with the Wisconsin Herd. Dennis Smith Jr., who I'll always remember because he had two ACLs in one leg. He's with the Wisconsin Herd. Yeah, so those are the list of G League players that I came up with.
I also found Jonathan Williams. Remember
Oh,
Jonathan?
yes.
He is with the Long Island Nets
Okay.
in the G League. And I had a lot of the same ones that you had, honestly. Like, Delano. A lot of the more current guys are easy to remember and find. Um, the one other thing that I would mention is that there is someone else who was a Blazer for quite a while that plays in the East that I have not mentioned yet, because for me, he's not a Blazer cutie.
Oh gosh.
And I will tell you who it is right now.
Okay, I was gonna say I could guess, but it'll take too long.
He plays on the Miami Heat, and his name is Norman Powell.
Oh, yeah. That poor guy catches a lot of strays from this podcast.
I know it's not his fault, but I will say I did not connect with Norman Powell. I tried really hard, and like I think part of it is like when I look at somebody and I like see them doing well on another team, I want to be like, "Yay, that's great." That's what makes me feel Blazer cutie about them. And when I look at him, I go, "Ugh." Because I invested so much work into trying to like this guy.
Yes.
And I look at him and I'm like, you were so hard to connect with. You were so hard for me to like that like my gift to you was the effort that I put in when you were here. And now that you're gone, I don't want to think about you.
No notes. Okay, I will add that I don't know if he's like got a publicist or what, but like he is still in the conversation. Like people are talking about him all the time on national shows. Like, why?
I don't know.
There's so many players in this league, and like, really, we're talking about Norman Powell again? Understand the grind.
Ugh,
So yeah, I'm
no.
sure he is one who like probably truly is a nice person, and he's been just we just don't understand him because remember, like the Toronto people loved him so much and they did not want to get rid of Norman Powell, just like we didn't want to get rid of wait, that's a terrible way to say it. They didn't want to trade Norman Powell, we didn't want to trade Gary Trent
Gary
Jr.,
Trent.
but it happened and we were all like, we'll take great care of him for you. And they probably felt the same way about Gary Trent Jr. as we feel about Norman Powell. So everybody has their people. He's not
Yeah.
our favorite.
Yeah. And I'm sure, yes, like you said, I'm sure he is lovely. I'm sure he's a lovely guy. That iteration of our team wasn't like the funnest. I will
No.
say that was like on the way down from the Dame era. And like, I, you know, it's probably not his fault that I don't like him. But
Right.
all I see when I look at him is like my struggle as a fan. And it doesn't feel good to revisit that struggle. And so for that, I will just never be like, yeah, Norman Powell, Blazer Cutie. No, it's not in the cards for me. It's
And
okay.
it's just so in our face. You
Yes.
know, it's just like, oh, like, do we have to talk about him that much? Like, he's in the East. We shouldn't have to hear about him that much. But we're all people. Oh, yeah.
I will say this though, like I'm glad that for whatever reason, like you were saying, like maybe it's because he has a great publicist or whatever, like the NBA cares about him and he is very boring.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like normally they like to put like really like strong characters in front of us, and he is very boring and like to appreciate a boring player, like good, I guess. But he's also played in probably partly it's because he's been playing in one, he played on that Raptors team where they won a championship, and two, he played in LA for a
Yeah.
while. And LA is like one of the press centers. So like maybe he gets a lot of extra coverage just because he was in LA.
Maybe compared to all the other Clippers, he was the most interesting one.
I mean, there's the Clippers are known for having really boring stars though. Like Kawhi is, I mean, he's boring but hilarious.
Yeah.
Paul George was there and he was really boring. Like Norman Powell, like that was a very boring team in terms of like being very good but not that interesting or funny.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like someday we're going to revisit this and be like, remember when we didn't like Norman Powell? Like something random is going to happen and we're going to be like, oh, there you go, Norman Powell. Thanks for doing something that brought you back to Blazer Cutie status. That hasn't happened yet, but I'm not closing the door on the idea that it may happen.
He could be promoted.
Could be. Could be. The door is open. Okay, you want to talk about real quickly about some of the guys who are playing overseas?
Yeah, let's do it. I have Harry Giles, who I one time got you a cameo from
I
once
just
upon a
watched that
time.
today.
I got you a Harry Giles cameo that he took in the Blazers locker room, which was really cute.
Yes.
He is playing overseas in China. I have, let's see, we already talked about some of these guys. Noah Vonleh is playing for in the Rush in Russia for the St. Petersburg team, which I believe Shabazz once played for. If I recall, when I looked at Shabazz's like kind of list of teams, he was playing in St. Petersburg when the Brittany Griner thing happened, and then he immediately just like left Russia and left his team when he realized that maybe it wasn't very safe to be there as an American. Um, remember Ish Wainwright?
Barely.
He was like old, he was like one of the few like vets we brought in one year on one of these developing teams. And we were like, oh, he'll bring some leadership or whatever. Well, whatever. I don't know. I don't remember what he was like as a player, but I do remember that he was here and he is playing in Israel at the moment.
Yes, very good.
Uh Skylar I have Skylar Mays is playing in Montenegro in Europe. Ryan Archidiakono, one of the members of the Villanova Best Friends gang, he is playing in Italy, which I believe I don't know if he's an Italian citizen, but I think that when we did our deep dive on him, I found out that he was eligible to play for the Italian national team. So he must
Okay.
have some amount of connection to Italy.
Yeah.
Um,
Can I do a couple?
I have Didi Luzada. Yeah, Didi
Okay.
Luzada, who's playing in Brazil.
Okay. Um, Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I just wanted to get in on a
No,
couple.
go ahead.
Um,
Yeah, get
okay,
into some of these.
so both Jake Layman and Nasir Little are playing in the Japanese basketball league. Jake Layman
Hmm.
has been there for a while. And Nasir, I think, just joined them this year. Blazer Cutie Cam Reddish is playing in Lithuania. Greg Brown is playing in the Greek basketball league. Um, Rondé Hollis Jefferson. Oh, what could have been?
Oh,
He's playing in the East Asia Super League, Keljin Blevins in the Indonesian Basketball League. I think you already said that. Um, yes, so Didi Luzada, I want to pause on him for a minute. Because I've been following him like ever since he left the Blazers. He has this adorable wife and child. He is playing in Brazil. And just a reminder to everyone that we are in the Didi Luzada era right now.
yes.
Through 28, 29, the Blazers are accounting over $200,000 for his salary. So we are fully in the Duzada area. So we will always be following him. Speaking of the era, we just exited the Andrew Nicholson era, and guess who's still playing professional basketball? Andrew Nicholson, biggest fan. He's currently in the Korean Basketball League. So he's
Oh,
still
that's fun.
crushing it. I freaking love Andrew Nicholson, and I'm so sad that I didn't learn more about him, like until like the Andrew Nicholson era was over, because he's just crushing it out there. Such a good
I wonder
businessman,
if
such a
Andrew,
smart guy, prolonging his career. It's awesome. He was born in '89, so he's what, 36,
yeah,
something like that.
probably. Yeah,
Oh,
but
his
so he
birthday's
luckily doesn't
coming
have a
up
birthday
on
yet this
December
year.
8th. We should celebrate.
Then he's 30, then he's 35.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, one of the things I was gonna say is I'm really curious whether Andrew Nicholson is on Kenyon Martin's list of the players that are better than Draymond Green.
I wonder if Rondé Hollis Jefferson's on there. See
Uh,
how many Blazer cuties are on on Kenyon Martin's list.
one of the ones I wanted to add is that Wenyen Gabriel, sweet Wenyen Gabriel, he is playing for Bayern Munich in Germany right now, and that Mario Hezonja is playing for Real Madrid.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
and I just want to say, like, so when he left the Blazers, I think he went and played in Greece originally, and like, remember seeing a video of everybody being so excited for him to come, like they were getting this NBA player, and he got like greeted at the airport with like throngs of people. And one of the things that I want to say about Mario Hezonja is like he catches a lot of strays in Portland fandom, but I realized when I was like looking him up this time, like it is not his fault that Neil Olshey sold him the way that he did, and that we were told that he was going to be a player that was different than the one that we got. That wasn't his fault at all. And so I would like to say to like, Blazer fans, maybe we can like find a way to not kind of dump on Mario Hezonja when it suits us, because like the PR problem that he had when he got here was not his own making. This was a Neil Olshey making where he touted him as the next, I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, it was all the expectations that Neil put on him, and which, basically ruined any chance of him actually meeting those expectations. Like
Yeah.
so many players in that area. So yeah, Neil or Mario Hezonja, you're a Blazer cutie, and we're not going to take that away from you.
Yes.
Did we talk about Tony Snell?
No, we didn't talk about Tony Snell. Let's talk about Tony Snell because a lot of people last year were very interested in what was going to happen with Tony Snell because he very publicly made it clear he was trying to get his 10th year of service in the NBA so that he could get um, health insurance for his child who is has on the autism spectrum.
Um, Tony Snell is in France.
Okay.
Um, I want to do like a whole other episode someday about, I want to look more into that 10-year, just that 10-year requirement for NBA players in order to get lifetime. I think it's 10 years in order to get lifetime healthcare insurance. And I really want to research that and find out if that's what how it goes. and to then complain about that and say that's ridiculous when players can only play for so many years, especially now looking at how many injuries people get and have to leave the league early, is 10 years really a fair amount of time to require somebody to play to get that benefit? But that's for another day. You know who I didn't look up, and I'm sure that he's retired because he was pretty close to retired when he was here, was Anthony Tolliver. I just want to shout out Blazer Cutie, Tall Socks Tolliver. He's probably like got investments and, running franchises. He was a guy who was like really had his future planned out for him. So I'm guessing that he's not playing anywhere, but didn't want to have the thing go by without mentioning Anthony Tolliver. Tim Frazier also is not he appears to be retired as well. I don't know that he's playing anywhere right now.
Anthony Tolliver, I'm pretty sure was involved in Malcolm Brogdon's water, like charity. Malcolm Brogdon, Blazer Cutie, Malcolm Brogdon. I think Malcolm Brogdon is
Oh
a
yeah.
Blazer Cutie. He was a super square Blazer Cutie, but he's a Blazer Cutie nonetheless. He was poised to make the New York Knicks roster, and then he like suddenly retired in September, I want to say, right before they were announcing the final 15-man roster. Um, I think that he basically gave a very nice retirement statement, and he basically said that, like he loved his time in the NBA, but it was time for him to move on. So also it was weird because he was in his ninth year too. This would have
Yeah.
been his 10th year in the league, and he's passed on it.
Hmm.
But I'm
Yeah.
very curious to know what he's going to do next because I feel like somebody like Malcolm Brogdon knows what his next move is.
Yes. I was listening to, I can't remember what I was listening to. Maybe it was the Athletic Daily podcast, but they were talking about how when LaMelo Ball was interviewed for his during his draft, like, pre-draft workouts, and they asked what he wanted to be if he wasn't a basketball player, and that he said president of the United States. And then people on this podcast were like, okay, we could believe that if somebody like Malcolm Brogdon said that. We'd be like, yes. But it didn't seem to ring as true to these folks when LaMelo Ball said it.
Maybe he's going to go run for office in Virginia. He had a strong tie to Virginia. And
Yeah,
yeah, I could see it.
would not
Malcolm
surprise me.
Brogdon will be successful in whatever he does next. I feel very confident.
Yeah, yeah. Well, any other Blazer cuties you want to mention?
The only other Blazer cutie that I want to mention is kind of for a funny reason. Um, and I hate to bring this topic back up again, but
Of
who
course.
Seth Curry was I think of Seth as a Blazer cutie for sure.
100%. 110% Seth Curry is a Blazer cutie. Absolutely.
So Seth, I believe, signed in the offseason to play in the Bay, um, so he could play with his brother. Now, he didn't play a minute, I think, in preseason, and then they cut him. And everybody was like, what's up with that? So Seth Curry does not have a team. But if you read anything about basketball, you've probably seen that people suspect that Buddy Hield's time in Golden State might be gone, might be done, and that they're waiting to bring Seth Curry into an open roster spot whenever they decide to part ways with Buddy Hield.
I don't know how to feel about that,
Yeah. It's weird that he's sitting there like waiting around to snipe somebody else's job, but like
especially
it's also
there.
weird to sign with that team thinking you're going to play with your brother and then get cut.
Hmm.
And you didn't play like he clearly didn't compete for a spot, he didn't play like in preseason and stuff. Like
Yeah.
he signed, he was there, then they cut him.
I want him to have his own story. What can he handle the ball? The Blazers could use a ball handler. Sign him to a 10-day.
Come back, Seth Curry. We would welcome you back. Not necessarily everybody, not everyone who's been a Blazer would we welcome back, but we would welcome Seth Curry
I would
back.
absolutely welcome Seth Curry back, and I would love to talk to his wife. I would love to talk to her because Callie Curry is a huge Bravo fan. She has a Bravo show on the Ringer Network. Um, and
Wait,
I know,
she's on a show. Oh no, like a podcast.
yeah,
Has a
she's on a
podcast. Okay.
podcast on the Ringer Network.
I thought you
We
meant she
can
had
get,
her own TV show on Bravo,
I was
on
going
The
to say, we
Ringer.
can have a whole separate conversation about whether or not TV shows are podcasts. For anybody who follows me on Blue Sky, they'll know how I feel about that. Yeah, thank you for bringing up Seth. Yeah, and I loved how you could also barely choke out their name. I'm glad that it's contagious. And I do I want even want to go into Terry Stotts? We're not going to go into coaches. Never mind.
No. Shabazz Napier is the only coach we want to acknowledge in
Yes.
this because he was a former player.
Yes. That saves us.
Okay, so that's all I have on my
Yep.
list. If listeners, you have your own Blazer Cuties that you follow that we didn't mention here, or you disagree with some of the people who've decided are not Blazer Cuties, like feel free to send us a comment or whatever, and let us know who you're missing from our list.
I had a good time going through the list and having memories of some of my favorite cuties who passed through.
Yeah, it's nice to look back at some of the guys and appreciate what they did for us. Oh, I guess one of the other Blazer Cuties I will mention is that I looked up Rodney Hood. Rodney retired.
Hmm.
But Rodney Hood, I think, had a really little epic run here. He's a
Yeah.
Blazer cutie to me, and we all will always have the Rodney Hood game here in Portland.
Yes, we will always have that. Skipping up off the bench. Well, this has been really fun. Before we go, we should do our takes.
Yeah, Tara, it's October 23rd, or excuse me, November 23rd, 1 o'clock. What's your take today?
Okay, so my take is about free throws. Um, I believe that unless you were an NBA player, you should not be saying things like, they're free. Why are you missing a free throw? That's why they're called free throws. Nobody should ever miss a free throw. I can understand being disappointed that a player misses a free throw. I can totally understand that. But to take it the leap ahead and say that nobody should ever miss them because they're free. Miss me with that. I will not be having that conversation. I will not be engaging with that conversation.
I love it. I mean, they're free, but like nobody shoots 100% in the NBA. So they're obviously not free.
Yeah, and like I just can't even I just there's just too many reasons to even go into why somebody who has never stood on that line in an NBA game with the game on the line could say everybody should make all those. Why are you missing? You're making all this money. Why should you, how could you possibly miss? Like, no, just do not have that conversation around me.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I'm like, honestly, like more often than not, I'm thrilled to have guys that are pretty good at free throws. And even the very best of them miss them. Like even Drew Holiday, who we've touted a lot on this podcast, we've talked about how much value he brings. He still misses crunch time free throws. They're not obviously free. This is not either the G League where you shoot one and you get 2 points, or they don't just give you those points for free. Like you still have to make them.
You still have to make them. Yeah. And like I said, I'm not mad at anybody who's disappointed if they miss. It's just this supposition that everybody like who misses one like is not a good player.
Yeah.
How about you? What's your take?
My take actually is a little bit, I didn't plan it this way, but like I just talked about how boring the Clippers were and how like personality wise they were. My take is about the heyday of the Clippers being one of the most marketable teams in the NBA, which is that I am actually really excited and glad to see Blake Griffin in commercials again. Blake Griffin is a powerhouse in commercials. His commercials are good. Like the fact that they're putting him in NBA Cup commercials and he's not in the NBA says a lot about his star power. I enjoy a Blake Griffin commercial. I'm glad they're bringing him back. I hope he like does more of that for us because like he's a funny dude. That was like they had at the time where they had Chris Paul and all those State Farm commercials and Blake Griffin in like literally every other commercial. Like that was the most marketable the Clippers ever were, and I can't believe they did Blake Griffin dirty.
Hmm. Yeah. And DeAndre Jordan on that team as well. I mean, that
Yes.
was an entertaining team. That's what, when you were going off, when you were talking about the Clippers earlier, I was thinking, I mean, there were some pretty fun Clippers. But recently, yeah, but there were some pretty fun Clippers teams, and I 100% I think Blake Griffin is so entertaining. And I'm glad to see that he's on there. Although I don't think I've seen any of his. Are they on Prime or Peacock,
No.
or I don't
I'm not
know.
on Prime. I don't have Prime. I'm like the only one that I know that doesn't have Prime, except for maybe you.
Yeah, I don't
Um,
have.
I don't. So he's in the NBA Cup commercials that play during all the NBA games,
Okay.
which is crazy because like all the other people that are in the NBA Cup commercial are like players currently in the NBA, and then there's Blake Griffin
Yeah.
with like I think it's Taylor Rooks is in the car with him. Um,
And they
but
didn't even have the NBA Cup when he was playing.
No, and he's in those commercials, which I'm just saying, if you pull Blake Griffin out of retirement just to put him in NBA Cup commercials, and the only other people in that commercial are like current players, it's like Trey Young, and I think Ant is in that commercial, and like, I don't know, maybe Shea or something, but like they're all like current stars, and then
I'll
Blake
have to pay
Griffin.
attention.
Audra like likes to point it out to me because she's like, the first time she saw it, she's like, someone's stealing the NBA Cup, Mom. You have to come look. And I was like, what are you talking about? She's talking about a commercial. And then she called Trey Young an old man. Some old man is stealing an NBA Cup. And I was like,
She called Trey
who?
Young an old man.
She thought he was an old man. And then what's crazy is that, like, a lot of people joke that he looks like an old man. But when I see him in that commercial, he's never looked younger.
I think he looks like a toddler. I've always thought that he looked like a toddler who just woke up from a nap, like with his hair like sticking all over the place and like he's rubbing his eyes and like his clothes don't quite fit because they're all like bunched up around under his armpit because he just like woke up. I always thought he just looked like a toddler who just woke up from a nap.
Well, toddlers also sometimes look like old men, though.
That's true. That is very true. Well, with that, let's go ahead and wrap up this conversation, Rose. As always, it was fantastic talking to you. Though those of you who are listening, if we missed any Blazer Cuties who are out there that you want to tell us where they are, let us know. You can find the podcast at We Have a Take on Blue Sky. You can find me at TCB Biggs, and you can find Rose at Rose L. Harding. I think that's about it for now. So let's keep the trajectory going up. Remember, wins and losses don't really matter right now, but growth does, and we're seeing it, and it's so exciting. Thanks everyone for listening, and go Blazers!